And back to FM26. This is Zany, and we continue our little walkthrough tactics. Right? And so this is a save that I'm doing. Our manager is called Roger Nadal, and he's managing a Swedish ladies team. But now just looking purely at the tactic, and we've not put players in yet. This is the tactic that he's looking at. We're intending a 4-2-3-1 in possession, and out of possession it goes to a 4-4-1-1. And looking at team is the team shape overall for both, and we're just making tweaks to the team instructions. So in the team instructions, we start with out of possession, and we go to all instructions to adjust our tweaks. So at the moment, we're looking at a mid block with higher defensive line, standard trigger press, a counter press, and then standard tackling, cross engagements balance at the moment, balance pressing trap, not preventing short goalkeeper distribution, and we have step up more for the defensive line behavior. So notice that defensive line is kind of like maybe a visual bug or a bug. Should be a known issue that defensive line menu appears twice. In possession, we have shorter passing, which I don't know whether I should change. Probably I might change it. I go with standard at the moment. And probably a higher tempo. And we're not doing time wasting. Counter attack. Narrow width. Not playing for set pieces. Balance. Play through the press. Short goal kicks and distribute to center backs. Okay, underlap and overlap. Let's keep it balanced at the moment. I think we'll go for dribble more. Or maybe not. Maybe not in a mid block. Maybe not. Let's go balance, see what happens. And then this is the pass into play space and no, this is focus play. No focus play at the moment. Pass reception, pass into space. No, work ball into box? Not really. Let's go standard. Because we're doing mid block. And shots from distance, we try to discourage shots from distance. Oh. No, let's go balance. Let's see if it works. Let's see if this works. And then crossing style. We'll go whip cross. And then goalkeeper distribution style, distribute quickly. So that's our tweak for Roger's tactic. And because of that, we're going to save it. So let's save it first. Go back to team shape so we don't get lost. We're going to save this as Roger's tactic. And we're going to override it because it's fine. Yeah, we're going to override it. We're going to replace it. Okay. Now, these theme instructions, we were doing it for overall as a whole. Now, if we look at, so just go back to all instructions. Oh no, we can't see that. So just focusing on out of possession. Notice that our selection was at overview. Now, what about these other selections like high press, mid block, low block? What does that mean? These actually correspond to the phases of play. So over here, as we mouse over here, it says select phase, right? Select a phase. So these are known as phases or tiers. I call them tiers. So here in Football Manager 26, you have 3 phases of play. And if you mouse over, and if we click on this, okay, it corresponds to low block. But what this actually means, it's not that we're playing a low block. They're just saying and indicating that this is the defensive phase, if you want to put it. This is what happens when the team is defending, right? So when the team is defending, if we look at out of possession instructions that are in play, you can see a selection of cross engagement. Now, what happens if I click all instructions in this phase? So if I click all instruction in this phase and I look at out of possession, I notice that I still have a mid block, I still have higher defensive line, I have trigger press, I have a counter press, I have tackling, cross engagement, pressing trap, short goalkeeper distribution, defensive line, which is repeat, and defensive line behavior. Now, we're going to experiment. What if I have selected this defensive phase, the lowest phase, closest to the goalkeeper line, and if I wanted to change my cross engagement. Now, here's the question. If I click on cross engagement here with this lower tier, would it also change the other tiers and the overall and the overview? Let's see. Now, if I click cross engagement and I go stop crosses, and let's click back. So we notice that these team instructions without of possession has it as stop crosses. Okay, now if I go back, and this was at low block. Now if I go to mid block, it also shows, wait, let's not go mid block. And if I go to, let's click away. So the best way to click away is to go to right flank and back to overview. Now when I go back to overview, this shows the overview out of possession screen. Now, if I click on all instructions now, and I go to out of possession, it shows stop cross. So here we've confirmed, if we click all instructions and cross engagement, this will change the tactic for all tiers. So I'm going to set it back. So it's set back already to balanced. Okay, now let's try it again. Let's try in the opening tier, and I just focus on this, they call it low block, but let's call it defensive phase. And I want to adjust the cross engagement just specifically for the defensive phase. And I click on this. Now I change stop cross, and now I click off. So this goes stop cross for defensive phase. Okay, now if I switch over to overview and I go all instructions, and I go out of possession, it also shows stop cross. So here at the moment, it's almost like a limitation, meaning that whichever way that I stop cross, right, it's going to apply across all. But then it becomes clearer what the what the this visualizer, what the tactic screen is telling us is stop cross will apply only in this defensive phase. So once again, let's so that we are clear. In all, first we had adjusted all instructions. Now, when we click the individual phases of play, like earlier, the first thing I clicked was the defensive phase. I call it defensive phase and low block, right? So in defensive phase and low block, um I've adjusted the idea of stop cross. I've adjusted this stop cross. Now, here it's saying that, so when we go to overview again, oh wait, that's up, sorry, a little sensitive there. Let's go back. Now, well, okay, thankfully you've gone back, it just goes to out of possession. So, once again, in overview, we had out of possession for all instructions. These will apply in the overview. Now, when we clicked this phase, right, the defensive phase, it has stop crosses here, right? So stop crosses will apply only to the defensive phase. So once again, when I clicked overview, you have these out of possession instructions. But when I click on all instructions, right, we thought it was applying to all. Now, what the system is trying to tell us is that in the defensive phase, right, we have stop cross that applies to the defensive phase here. Now let's do another experiment. Now, if we go middle, and I click stop cross here, and I start going balanced, and I click away, what happens? The whole low block is affected. So what it's saying is that when we go stop cross applies across the entire tier. Stop cross across applies across all tiers, all sides, the left, middle, and right. Okay. Now, if I wanted to adjust left flank and right flank, what can I adjust in left flank, right flank? So now we're going into the bottom tier, the defensive tier, and individual sides of it. So let's say I go on the left. When I go on the left, right, it shows low block cross engagement. So so that's the only thing that I can adjust in the tier, which is not super helpful, but it's okay, right? So we won't go with all instructions. That was it. Okay. Next, if we go into the middle transition phase, in transition phase, which is mid block, here what the system is saying that the tactic that applies to mid block is pressing trap. So what it's trying to say is that traps will occur in the middle phase, out of possession. So I could go trap in the middle, trap outside, something like that. I don't know what I might. Should I go trap outside? But let's say I leave it alone. But I could have an option of trapping outside. So that's what it's saying. Then now in the attacking phase of play, which is up here, in the attacking phase of play, you have two tactics that apply. out of possession. 1 against my pressing trap. So what we're saying here is that we can start to do trap in the attacking phase. So if we press wide here, what might happen? Let's explode it. I might trap outside here. So deny access to central areas, win the ball in wide areas. This might work right out of here. So that they might lose the ball here, and then we start to play, and then we have a 4-2-3-1 in possession. This might be interesting. So let's do that, right? So this pressing trap in a high press is, it also applies. That means the pressing trap applies starts both in the final phases. So both will be focusing on pressing trap. Okay, I understand. So when we set a pressing trap outside, what the system is saying is that the players will apply pressing trap in the middle tier and the upper tier. Okay, that makes sense. Let's try it. A bit risky, but let's try it. Okay, maybe not. Maybe I'll do it in-game, right, just to be balanced. Okay, because depending on the opposition we're playing with. And then short goalkeeper distribution applies only in the upper phase. So that's what the visualizer is trying to tell us in terms of the tiers, which is basically saying out of all the tiers, one more time, from overview, we notice that there are 6 out of possession tactics. Now, if we go to all instructions, this is me being painful, I notice that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, wait. I noticed that there are 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That there are 9, or basically only 8 tactics. So 8 tactics in total. And in the overview, out of the 8 tactics in total, 6 of them will apply across the board. 6 out of the 9, 6 out of the, was it 8? Let's see all instructions again. So all instructions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 9 instructions out of possession. Out of the 9 instructions out of possession, 6 of them will apply across the board, across all the phases. These are the 6. Then, in the lowest tier, 1 of them apply, which is stop cross. And in the middle tier, 1 of them applies, which is the pressing trap. And in the attacking phase, so-called, 1 more of them applies, which is goalkeeper distribution. So those are the 3 that apply specific to 1 or 2 tiers. So back to overview, come. Back to overview. Back to overview, you notice that it's the other 6 that apply across the board. Okay, so that's how it's actually working. So when we see overview and out of possession tactics here, we're saying that these 6 tactics will apply across the board no matter which tier you're dealing with. So for simplicity, that is why I'll just go all instructions and just tweak according to that and not get too caught out about the different phases, right? Now, if we, so that's for out of possession. I think that's pretty clear. Out of possession, it just goes by years, and it will not vary when it comes to the balance and things like that. So what it's useful about the different different flanks, if you will, the flanks, is that we can see visually how the players move according to which particular area of the pitch they go to. So that's basically it. So that's kind of how they do it, right? You got the full, it's like a, which fullback is this? Pressing fullback will be up here. The pressing fullback will be up there. Pressing fullback will be here. So that's kind of what we're saying. Then as we transition out of possession, pressing fullback goes a little wider. These guys go a little bit in the middle. And over here, out of possession, they just go that way. That's basically it. So you can see in the further in the most attacking phase, the pressing fullbacks over here kind of goes about the same width, and then it goes narrower in the as they go defensive tier. That's how I read it. Okay, so that's for overview now. I don't know why. I press and then overview. Maybe it's that's a little bit of a interesting thing about that, right? Notice that I had to go high block first before clicking to overview. Okay, now let's go to the maybe more exciting part, which is in possession. So in possession, so now we're clear. In possession, there are 7 tactics that apply across all tiers. Now, in terms of all instructions in possession is really interesting. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got 18 different instructions that will apply in total. Okay, so once again, out of the 18, there are 7 instructions that apply across the board. It's passing, tempo, passing directness, tempo, attacking width, attacking transition, creative freedom, time wasting, and play for set pieces, which makes sense, kinda. Now, if we are in possession and we are just building up from the beginning, building up from, let's say, the goalkeeper, what happens? In goalkeeper, in the defensive build-up phase, we have, which is called build-up. Now, okay, so when FM26, when Football Manager 26 is describing the attacking transition, the in-possession transitions, it lists them as build-up, progression, and final third. So I would hope that in the out of possession, we have something similar, and it's not high block, low block. I wouldn't call that. I would probably call it something like initial screening or something, and then middle transitional screening or something, and this would be like defensive phase or something along that line, which I just find the terminology here, it's a little bit, might not be as accurate. I'm not sure if actual football managers use these terms when it comes to transitioning defensively. So yeah, we could say pressing phase or transition phase and defensive phase. I don't know, something along that line. So anyway, in possession, back to in possession, as we're building up play, we have 4 tactics that will apply. How we do goal kick, how we distribute goal kick, how we do the goal kicks distance-wise, where we distribute it to, and how quickly we distribute it to, right? And then overall, our build-up strategy to counter the press that the opposition is doing. I think that makes perfect sense. Then, when it comes to progression, you have another 4 different tactics that apply to the transitional phase, the progression phase, which are pass reception, whether we pass into space, whether we do supporting runs, which is overlap, and how well dribble, and we're progressing through, which is basically our focus play. So those are 4 other tactics. So once again, we had 7 tactics that were applying across the board, adding 4 tactics to the build-up phase, which is 11 already, and then adding another 4 tactics in the progression phase. That makes it 11. So hopefully, logically, we should have 4. There we are. 4 instructions that just apply to the final third situation. So we'll do the final third. We go dribbling. Hang on. We have 18, right? Yes, 18. 18, yes, that makes sense. So 18 tactics in total, 18 instructions in total, right? 7 that apply across the board, 4 that apply to the build-up phase, that makes 11, 4 that apply to the progression phase, that makes 15. There are 3 more tactics. So there's one that overlaps, which is dribbling. Dribbling takes place in the progression phase and the final third phase. Then whether we work ball into box or not, whether we shoot from distance or not, and whether we do whip crosses or not, those will apply only in the final third. So that's what basically the tiers will do. And then if we go left flank, right flank, these are visual elements that will help us to see how the squad is building up play in the different areas of the pitch. That's basically what it's doing. It's just to give us a visual, especially for switching tactics, and we want to make sure that we're covering the ground that we wish to cover. So that's basically the situation. This works with the middle turn. Maybe it's a mouse issue. So, so let's try again with out of possession. This is just me being picky. Let's say I go low block and now I want to go overview. Okay, it works. Maybe it's mouse issue. Okay, so that's basically the overview of the tactic and how it works out. So in summary, what I would say is that for simplicity and to really for us to avoid any confusion whatsoever, set our tactics according to all instructions. Okay, so once we've built a formation, then we set our tactic, and then we go out of possession. How does it look? Set it just here, and it will just apply accordingly to the different phases of play according to what the tactics engine requires, tactics engine specifies. That's basically it as a summary. So I hope that that clears up any confusion that we might have. Okay, so that was it. So do I do stop cross? I do stop cross, right? So if I'm gonna do stop cross there, then that calls for, I'll go back to team shape, and I'll just save my tactic again, because I don't think I did stop cross for the original, so I'll just overwrite that. And that basically is the summary of and the walkthrough of the tactics and all of that. So thank you for that, and yeah, I hope this helps.
Thank you, Zany. As part of the community, I'm glad we're able to contribute our saves to make the playing experience better for everyone. We will share more of our FM26 save on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Singapore time, and the FM24 save on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. also Singapore time. Remember to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss a thing. Thank you once again, and we'll see you soon.